Captain Jinho stood on the bridge of the Defiant Star, watching the stars drift past the viewport. His ship was 3 days into a routine escort mission, guiding 5 civilian transports through the Outer Rim territories. It was boring work, but necessary. Pirates and raiders loved to target slow-moving cargo vessels in this part of space. "Captain, incoming transmission," Hana said from the communications station. Her fingers moved quickly across her console, pulling up the signal data. "It's a distress call from Kepler-7 mining colony." Jinho turned toward her. "What's their situation?" "They're reporting major equipment failures. Life support systems are dropping. They're requesting immediate assistance." Hana looked up, her face showing concern. "Sir, they say they have over 200 miners on that rock." At the tactical station, Yuna frowned. She pulled up a star chart and studied it carefully. "Captain, Kepler-7 is 40 minutes off our current route. If we divert now, we'll be cutting it close on our fuel reserves." "How close?" Jinho asked. "We'll make it, but there won't be much margin for error," Yuna replied. She hesitated, then added, "Sir, the timing feels odd. We've been through this sector twice before, without any issues. Why would their systems fail now?" Jinho understood her concern. Good officers developed instincts about these things. But he also knew what would happen if they ignored that distress call, and people died. He had joined the fleet to protect civilians, not to abandon them because of suspicious timing. "Hana, respond to their signal. Tell them we're on our way," Jinho ordered. "Yuna, plot the fastest course. Deho, I want the engines ready for maximum burn." "Yes, sir," came the replies from around the bridge. The Defiant Star changed course, its engines glowing brighter as it accelerated. The 5 transport ships in their convoy followed, their captains trusting Jinho's judgment. One of those captains was Suji, a veteran merchant who had been running cargo for 20 years. She radioed the Defiant Star with a simple message. "We're with you, Captain." The journey to Kepler-7 took 38 minutes. As they approached the asteroid field surrounding the mining colony, Jinho felt his unease growing. The distress signal had stopped 5 minutes ago. That could mean the miners had fixed their problem, or it could mean something worse. "Hana, try to raise the colony," Jinho said. "Already trying, sir." No response. "Sensor readings?" Jinho asked, turning to Yuna. Yuna's hands flew across her console. Then they stopped. Her face went pale. "Sir, sensors just went dark. I'm getting nothing. No readings at all." "That's impossible." Deho's voice came through the intercom from engineering. "Those sensors were working perfectly 10 seconds ago. Something is jamming us, and it's powerful." Jinho's stomach dropped. "All ships, battle stations, prepare for..." He never finished the sentence. The asteroid field exploded with movement. Ships emerged from behind the massive space rocks, their weapons already glowing hot. They were Vrin vessels, sleek and deadly, with hulls that looked like they were made from obsidian glass. Jinho counted them quickly. 5. No. 7. No. 12. 15 enemy ships surrounded them, appearing from every direction. "It's a trap!" Yuna shouted, bringing the Defiant Star's shields online. "Captain, we're looking at a full Vrin hunter fleet." The lead Vrin ship was twice the size of the others. Its dark hull bore the marks of a command vessel. Suddenly, Hana's console crackled to life. A voice came through, speaking in perfect human language, with a cold, mechanical precision. "Human vessels, this is War Master Thex of the Vrin Empire. You are surrounded and outmatched. Your sensors are blocked. Your communications are jammed. Surrender your ships immediately, and your crews will be taken as prisoners. Resist, and you will be destroyed. You have 30 seconds to decide." Jinho looked at his tactical display. The Vrin had positioned their ships in a perfect formation, a geometric pattern that covered every possible escape route. They had clearly studied human tactics, learned human patterns, and built this ambush specifically for them. The distress call had been fake, the bait in a carefully planned trap. "Captain, what are your orders?" Yuna asked quietly. Around them, the civilian transports were sending frantic messages. Suji's voice came through clearly. "Defiant Star. We're sitting ducks out here. We don't have weapons. We don't have strong shields. Whatever you're going to do it fast." Jinho's mind raced. 15 Vrin warships against 1 human patrol vessel and 5 unarmed transports. Their shields were already taking hits from warning shots. The Vrin weapons were more advanced than human technology. In a straight fight, they would last maybe 10 minutes before being torn apart. 15 seconds, Thex's voice announced coldly. "Daeho, can you get our engines to full power?" Jinho asked. "I can, but where are we going to run?" "They've got us boxed in," the engineer replied. "Hana, any chance of breaking through their jamming?" "Not with our current power levels, sir. They're using something I've never seen before." 5 seconds. Jinho looked at the stars beyond the viewport. Somewhere out there, beyond this ambush, Earth was continuing its normal life. Families were eating dinner. Children were playing. People were laughing, loving, living. They didn't know that out here in the darkness, the Vrin Empire had just proven they could hunt humans like animals. "Time is up, human captain," Thex said. "Surrender or die." Yuna looked at Jinho. "Sir?" Jinho straightened his uniform. He had spent 12 years in the fleet. He had fought pirates, rescued stranded ships, and explored new systems. He had always followed the rules, always done things by the book. But the book didn't have a chapter for this situation. The book assumed you had a fighting chance. "Broadcast this on all channels," Jinho said quietly. "This is Captain Jinho of the human vessel Defiant Star. We do not surrender. Not today. Not ever." The Vrin response was immediate. Energy weapons lit up the darkness as they opened fire on the human ships. The Defiant Star's shields flared bright blue, absorbing the first wave of attacks. Around them, the civilian transports scattered, trying desperately to find cover behind asteroids. "All ships, evasive maneuvers," Jinho shouted. "Keep moving. Don't let them get a clean shot." The battle had begun, and humanity was already losing. The Defiant Star rolled hard to port, narrowly avoiding a stream of plasma fire that would have cut through their engines. Jinho gripped his command chair as the ship shuddered under the impact of near misses. On the view screen, the civilian transports were scattering like frightened fish, desperately trying to put asteroids between themselves and the Vrin warships. "Shields at 70%. Yuna reported, her voice tight with stress. "They're testing our defenses, probing for weak points. Return fire, everything we have," Jinho ordered. The Defiant Star's weapons blazed to life, sending missiles and energy beams toward the nearest Vrin ship. The attacks hit their target, but the alien shields absorbed the damage without even flickering. It was like throwing stones at a mountain. "Captain, we've got a problem," came Woojin's voice over the radio. The young pilot was leading a squadron of 6 fighters that had launched from the Defiant Star's hangar. "These Vrin ships are too fast. Every time we line up a shot, they know exactly where we're going to be." Jinho watched on his tactical display as Woojin's fighters tried to flank one of the enemy vessels. The Vrin ship moved before the humans could even fire, sliding smoothly into a position that put the fighters directly in the crossfire of 2 other Vrin vessels. "Break off! Break off!" Woojin shouted. 2 of the fighters exploded in bright flashes. 4 remained, retreating back toward the Defiant Star. Jinho felt his jaw tighten. 2 pilots dead in less than a minute. This wasn't a battle, it was an execution. "Daeho, I need more power to shields," Jinho said. "I'm giving you everything I've got," the engineer replied from deep in the ship. "But Captain, we're taking damage faster than I can repair it. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. I've sealed them, but if we take many more hits like that, we're going to start losing vital systems." Yuna pulled up new data on her console. Her expression grew darker. "Captain, the Vrin are splitting their forces. 10 ships are staying with us. 5 are peeling off to pursue the transports." "No!" Jinho slammed his fist on the armrest. He opened a channel to all ships. "All transports, get behind us. We'll cover you." Suji's transport was the closest. The bulky cargo ship turned ponderously. its engines burning at maximum as it tried to reach the protection of the defiant star. But the Vryn were faster. 3 enemy vessels swooped in, their weapons tracking the transport with mechanical precision. "They're locking weapons," Yuna said. "I'm reading massive energy buildup. Captain, they're going to..." The Vryn fired. 3 beams of concentrated energy struck Suji's transport simultaneously. The shields collapsed instantly. The beams tore through the hull, ripping metal and venting atmosphere into space. "This is Suji." The merchant captain's voice came through, distorted by static. "We're hit bad. Life support is failing. Hull integrity at 20%. We're venting air on all decks." "How many people on your ship?" Jinho asked. 312, Suji replied. "Mostly colonist families. Captain, we can't take another hit like that. We're dying here." Jinho made a decision he knew he would regret. "All hands, prepare to rescue survivors. Woojin, your fighters will provide cover. Yuna, drop our shields just long enough to bring escape pods aboard." "Sir, if we drop shields, the Vryn will tear us apart," Yuna protested. "They're going to tear us apart anyway," Jinho said quietly. "At least this way. We save some people." The next few minutes were chaos. Suji's transport launched every escape pod it had. Small spheres filled with terrified civilians shot out into space, their emergency thrusters pushing them toward the defiant star. Woojin and his remaining fighters flew in desperate patterns, trying to draw Vryn fire away from the pods. Another fighter exploded. Then, another. Woojin was alone now, his fighter damaged and smoking, but still flying. The defiant star's cargo bay opened, and the escape pods streamed inside. Jinho counted them on his screen. 20 pods. 30. 40. Not enough. There should be more. "Captain, we can't wait any longer," Yuna said urgently. "The Vryn are targeting our bay doors. If they hit us while the shields are down, we'll lose everything." "Close the bay," Jinho ordered, the words tasting like ashes in his mouth. The bay doors slammed shut. The shields came back up just as Vryn weapons fire tore into their position. The defiant star shook violently. Systems overloading across half the ship. "How many did we get?" Jinho asked. Hana checked her console. 198 survivors, sir. Medical teams are heading to the bay now. Oh. 198 saved. 114 lost. Jinho closed his eyes for a moment. Those numbers would haunt him forever, if he lived long enough to be haunted. "Captain, Suji's transport is breaking apart," Yuna said softly. On the view screen, the merchant ship's hull was crumbling, torn by internal explosions as systems failed. Jinho could only hope that Suji had made it into one of the pods they had rescued. There was no way to know yet. "Status of the other transports?" Jinho asked. 3 have made it behind some large asteroids. They're hiding, but it won't last long. The Vryn are systematically destroying their cover. Yuna paused. "The 5th transport is gone, sir. It was destroyed 2 minutes ago, while we were rescuing Suji's people. Another ship gone. Another crew dead." Jinho felt the weight of command crushing him. He had led these people into a trap, and now he was watching them die one by one. "Daeho, engine status?" Jinho asked. There was a long pause before the engineer responded. His voice sounded strained. "Captain, you need to see this. Can you come down to engineering?" "I'm kind of busy fighting a battle up here," Jinho replied. "I know, sir, but this is important. Really important." Something in Daeho's tone made Jinho pay attention. "Yuna, you have the bridge. I'll be in engineering." Jinho ran through the corridors of his ship, passing damage control teams rushing to seal hull breaches. The smell of burnt wiring and melted metal filled the air. He reached engineering to find Daeho standing in front of a large display screen, staring at data that scrolled past in rapid streams. "What am I looking at?" Jinho asked. "The Vryn weapon patterns," Daeho said. "I've been recording every shot they've fired. Look at this." He pulled up a 3-dimensional tactical map showing the entire battle. Every Vryn shot was marked with a colored line. Jinho stared at it, not understanding at first. Then he saw it. The pattern was perfect. Not just good, not just precise, but mathematically perfect. Every shot timed to the nanosecond. Every movement calculated to optimal efficiency. The Vryn weren't just fighting well. They were fighting like machines, like computers running a program. They're not improvising at all, Jinho said slowly. Every move is planned. Every attack is calculated. Exactly, Deho said. Captain, they've studied us. They know our standard tactics, our training manuals, our textbook responses. They built this entire ambush around predicting what we would do, and so far, they've been right about everything. Jinho felt a spark of something in his mind. An idea. A dangerous, stupid, probably suicidal idea. If they're fighting by perfect calculations, Jinho said, what happens when we do something that makes no sense? Something unpredictable? Deho looked at him. I don't know. But, Captain, we're running out of time to find out. Hull integrity is at 43%. We've got maybe 20 minutes before critical systems start failing. After that, we're just a floating target. 20 minutes to live or die. 20 minutes to save what was left of his convoy. 20 minutes to prove that humanity was more than just numbers in a Vryn battle computer. Jinho ran back to the bridge, his mind already working on a plan that would either save them all or kill them faster. Jinho burst back onto the bridge, his uniform stained with sweat and his mind racing. Yuna looked up from her console, relief crossing her face when she saw him. Captain, shields are down to 58%. The Vryn are tightening their formation around us. I know, Jinho said, dropping into his command chair. And they're doing it perfectly, aren't they? Every move calculated. Every attack timed to maximum efficiency. Yuna frowned. Yes, sir. They're better coordinated than any enemy force I've ever seen. It's like they're all controlled by one mind. That's exactly the problem, Jinho said. He turned to Hana. Get me a secure channel to all our ships. I need to talk to everyone. And I mean everyone. Crew, survivors, fighter pilots, transport captains. Can you do that without the Vryn listening? Hana's fingers danced across her console. I can try, sir. If I use a very low-power signal and bounce it off those asteroids, we might be able to create a local network. It won't reach far, but it should connect our remaining ships. Do it, Jinho ordered. While Hana worked, Jinho pulled up the tactical data Deho had shown him. He studied the Vryn attack patterns, seeing the mathematical perfection in every move. They were fighting the way computers played chess, calculating every possibility, choosing the optimal response every single time. But humans didn't play chess like computers. Humans made mistakes. Humans got creative. Humans did stupid, brilliant, illogical things that no calculation could predict. Channel ready, sir, Hana said. You're broadcasting to all our people. Jinho took a deep breath. This is Captain Jinho. I'm going to be honest with you. We're losing this fight. The Vryn have us outgunned, outnumbered, and trapped. In about 15 minutes, our shields will fail completely. And after that, we're dead. He paused, letting that sink in. On the view screen, he could see the worried faces of crew members on various ship stations. In the cargo bay, survivors from Suji's transport huddled together, listening. But I've figured something out. Jinho continued. The Vryn are perfect. Too perfect. They know exactly what we're going to do because we've been doing everything by the book. Every defensive move we've made is straight out of the fleet training manual. Every formation we've tried is textbook standard, and the Vryn have studied that book. They know it better than we do. Yuna was beginning to smile. She understood where he was going. So, here's what we're going to do, Jinho said. We're going to throw away the book. We're going to do things that make no sense. We're going to be unpredictable, chaotic, and probably suicidal. We're going to show the Vryn what happens when you try to trap a species that refuses to follow any rules. Captain, one of the transport captains said over the channel, what exactly are you planning? I'm planning to turn our biggest weakness into a weapon, Jinho replied. Deho, can you create false sensor readings? Make it look like we have more ships than we actually do? No. The engineer's voice came through. Maybe. If I overload our reactor in short bursts, it would create energy signatures similar to other vessels. But it's dangerous. One wrong calculation and we could blow ourselves up. Perfect, Jinho said. That's exactly the kind of crazy I'm talking about. Yuna, pull up the position of every piece of debris in this asteroid field, every broken ship part, every mining explosive, every loose rock, bigger than a fighter. Sir, that's going to take time we don't have. Yuna protested. Then work fast, Jinho said. Hana, I need you to do something that's probably impossible. Can you hack into the Vrin communication network? Hana's eyes went wide. Captain, their systems are completely different from ours. I don't even know where to begin. Begin with the assumption that it can't be done, Jinho said with a slight smile. Then do it anyway. I need to plant false information in their tactical feed. Fake ship positions, fake distress calls, fake anything that will make them second-guess their perfect calculations. Around the bridge, his crew stared at him like he had lost his mind. Maybe he had. But sanity wasn't going to save them. Only madness would work now. Woojin, you still alive out there? Jinho called to the lone surviving fighter pilot. Barely, sir. Woojin's voice came through, strained and tired. My fighter is held together with spare parts and hope. What do you need? I need you to do the dumbest thing you've ever done, Jinho said. I need you to attack the Vrin command ship. Alone. Head on. No backup. There was a long silence. Then, Woojin laughed, a sound somewhere between humor and hysteria. Sir, that's suicide. Yep, Jinho agreed. But here's the thing. It's so stupid that no tactical computer would ever predict it. The Vrin won't be ready for it because no sane person would try it. Can you do it? Another pause. Give me 5 minutes to say goodbye to my family and a message. Then yeah, I can do it. In the cargo bay, one of the survivors from Suji's transport stepped forward. It was Nari, a medical officer who had been traveling with the colonists. Her voice came over the channel. Captain, our transport is still out there. It's dying, leaking fuel and barely holding together. But if you need it as a weapon, we can use it. What are you thinking? Jinho asked. The fuel tanks are rupturing, Nari explained. There's a massive cloud of explosive gas surrounding the ship. If we could position it correctly, and then ignite it at the right moment, it would create a blast that could take out several Vrin ships. That would require someone to stay on the transport and manually trigger the explosion, Jinho said slowly. Someone would have to sacrifice themselves. I volunteer, Nari said immediately. Those colonists were my responsibility. A lot of them died because we walked into this trap. Let me make it mean something. Nari, you don't have to, Jinho began. Yes, I do, she interrupted. Captain, I'm a medical officer, not a soldier. I can't fight these aliens with weapons, but I can fight them with this. Let me help. Jinho felt a lump in his throat. These people, his people, were willing to die for a crazy plan that probably wouldn't work, but they believed in him. They believed in humanity's ability to do the impossible. Yuna, can we make this work? Jinho asked quietly. The tactical officer studied her screens, running calculations. If we time everything perfectly, if Daeho's false signals work, if Hana can hack their systems, if Woojin's attack distracts them, and if Nari's explosion happens at exactly the right moment, then yes, we might have a 5% chance of survival. 5%, Jinho repeated. Last week, we had a 100% chance of completing this mission safely. Now we're down to 5%. Actually, sir, without this plan, we have 0%. Yuna said. So really, this is an improvement, Jinho laughed despite himself. All right. Let's do this. Everyone, listen carefully. This is going to be the most uncoordinated, chaotic, illogical battle plan in human history. We're going to break every rule of warfare. We're going to do things that will get us court-martialed if we survive." He stood up from his chair and looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Good people. Brave people. Humans who refuse to give up even when mathematics said they should. "The Vryn think they've won," Jinho said. "They think we're predictable. They think they know everything about us. Let's show them that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our numbers. It's our ability to be absolutely, dangerously, beautifully unpredictable." "Captain," Hana said suddenly, "I've got something. I can't hack their main systems, but I found a back door in their sensor network. If I flood it with garbage data, I might be able to confuse their targeting." "How long will it last?" Jinho asked. "Maybe 2 minutes. Maybe less. Then we make those 2 minutes count," Jinho said. "Everyone to your positions. We're about to twist this ambush into something the Vryn will never forget. If we're going to die, we're going to die making these aliens regret they ever decided to hunt humans." The crew scattered to their tasks. Jinho sat back down in his command chair and watched the Vryn ships on his view screen. They moved with perfect precision, closing in for the kill, but they had no idea what was coming, because what was coming made no sense at all. The Defiant Star suddenly jerked hard to starboard, pulling a maneuver that made no tactical sense. The ship dove toward a cluster of asteroids at a speed that risked collision. Behind them, the Vryn ships paused for just a fraction of a second. Their perfect formation disrupted by the unexpected movement. "Reactor overload in 3, 2, 1, Deho announced from engineering. The ship's reactor pulsed with massive energy, deliberately pushed past safe limits. On Vryn sensors, it would look like 3 human ships had just appeared, where there was only one. The false signatures scattered across the asteroid field, creating phantom targets. "Hana, how's that hack coming?" Jinho asked, gripping his armrests, as the ship rattled from proximity to the asteroids. "Injecting garbage data now," Hana replied, her screen filled with alien symbols as she dumped random information into the Vryn sensor network. "Their targeting systems are trying to process it. I'm seeing error signals." On the view screen, the Vryn formation wavered. Their ships began receiving conflicting data, showing human vessels in impossible positions. For the first time since the battle started, their movements became hesitant. "Woojin, you're up," Jinho said. "Give them something they'll never expect." "On my way," the pilot responded. His single, badly damaged fighter shot out from behind an asteroid, engines burning at maximum thrust. Instead of using evasive maneuvers or trying to stay alive, Woojin flew in a straight line directly at the Vryn command ship. His weapons fired continuously, even though they were having almost no effect on the alien shields. Inside the Vryn command ship, Warmaster Thex watched this impossible attack. His tactical computers showed multiple human vessels appearing and disappearing across his sensors. His targeting systems were reporting errors. And now, a single damaged fighter was conducting a suicidal charge against his command vessel. "This makes no sense," Thex said to his bridge crew. "Their tactics have become irrational. They are acting without logic." "Should we destroy the fighter, Warmaster?" one of his officers asked. Thex hesitated. Every instinct, every calculation said this was a distraction. But a distraction from what? His sensors were confused. His tactical predictions were failing. The humans were doing things that shouldn't work. "Focus all point defense on that fighter," Thex ordered. "I want to know what they're planning." 6 Vryn ships redirected their weapons toward Woojin's tiny fighter. The space around him lit up with weapons fire, so dense that it seemed impossible for anything to survive. But Woojin had spent his entire career learning to fly through impossible situations. He twisted his fighter through angles that should have torn it apart, dancing between energy beams with a combination of skill and insane luck. His ship took hits, shields collapsing, armor burning away, but he kept flying. "Woojin, pull back!" Yuna shouted over the radio. "You've done enough." "Not yet," Woojin replied, his voice calm despite flying through hell itself. "Not yet." While the Vryn focused on the single fighter, the Defiant Star made another impossible move. Jinho ordered full power to engines, then immediately cut power and rotated the ship backward. It was a maneuver that damaged their own systems, creating stress fractures in the hull. But it also put them in position to fire directly at the Vrine ships that had been pursuing them. "Fire everything," Jinho ordered. Missiles and energy weapons launched in a concentrated barrage. The Vrine ships, caught off guard by the illogical maneuver, took direct hits. Their shields flared and weakened. It wasn't enough to destroy them, but it was enough to hurt them. "Deho, another pulse," Jinho commanded. The reactor overloaded again, creating more false signatures. Now the Vrine sensors showed human ships everywhere, appearing in positions that defied physics. Their tactical computers tried to calculate responses but kept coming up with errors. The perfect mathematical precision that had defined their attack was crumbling. In the cargo bay of the Defiant Star, Nari was boarding a small shuttle. Around her, survivors from Suji's transport were saying goodbye, touching her shoulder, thanking her for her sacrifice. "I'll guide you to the transport," Hana said over the radio. "Once you're there, you'll have about 90 seconds to rig the fuel tanks for explosion before the Vrine realize what you're doing." 90 seconds, Nari repeated. "I can do that." The shuttle launched, flying low and slow through the asteroid field. Nari kept the engines at minimum power, hoping the Vrine would mistake her for just another piece of debris. Her hands were steady as she piloted toward Suji's dying transport, which was still leaking fuel in a massive, expanding cloud. "Nari, the Vrine are repositioning," Yuna warned. "They're starting to figure out our plan. You need to hurry." "Almost there," Nari said. She docked with the transport and ran through the damaged corridors. Emergency lights flickered. Alarms blared. The whole ship groaned like a dying animal. She reached the engineering section and began working on the fuel systems, bypassing safeties and creating a chain reaction that would turn the entire vessel into a bomb. Outside, Wujin's fighter finally took a hit it couldn't evade. His shields collapsed completely. His engines died. The fighter went into a tumble, spinning through space. "Wujin, status?" Jinho called. "I'm alive," the pilot replied, his voice weak. "But my ship is dead. No engines, no weapons, no shields. I'm just drifting now." "You did good," Jinho said. "You gave us the time we needed." "Glad to help, sir. If someone could pick me up before I run out of air, that would be nice." On the Vrine command ship, Thex was analyzing the battle data with growing frustration. His fleet had been fighting for nearly 30 minutes and hadn't destroyed the human vessels. This was unacceptable. His calculations had shown a victory within 15 minutes. "New orders," Thex announced. "All ships, abandon formation tactics. Pursue and destroy every human vessel independently. No more coordination. We end this now." It was exactly what Jinho had been waiting for. The moment the Vrine broke their perfect formation and started acting individually, they lost their greatest advantage. Now, they were just ships, not a coordinated fleet. "Yuna, where's Thex's command ship?" Jinho asked. "There." She pointed at the display. "He's broken formation to pursue us directly. He's angry. He's making it personal." "Then let's give him something personal," Jinho said with a grim smile. "Deho, I need one more reactor pulse, bigger than all the others combined." "Captain, if I do that, we might actually explode," Deho warned. "Might is better than definitely," Jinho replied. "Do it." "Nari, status?" Hana called to the medical officer on the transport. "Charges are set," Nari replied. "I'm ready to trigger on your signal. Tell me when the Vrine are in position." On the tactical display, Yuna watched the Vrine ships converging. They were abandoning their perfect geometric patterns, clustering together as they all tried to attack the human vessels at once. It was exactly the mistake humanity needed them to make. "Captain, 3 Vrine ships are moving into Nari's kill zone," Yuna reported. 4 ships. 5. They're grouping up. "Nari," Jinho said quietly. "It's time." There was a pause. Then Nari's voice came through one last time. "It's been an honor, Captain. Tell those colonist families that their medical officer didn't abandon them. Not even at the end." "I will," Jinho promised. "I swear I will." "Good," Nari said. "See you on the other side." She pressed the trigger. The dying transport, surrounded by clouds of leaking fuel, exploded with the force of a small star. The blast wave expanded outward, catching 5 Vryn ships in its destructive radius. Their shields overloaded instantly. 3 of the ships were completely destroyed, torn apart by the explosion. The other 2 were crippled, tumbling through space with their systems offline. The entire battlefield went silent for a moment. Both humans and Vryn seemed stunned by the massive explosion. Then Jinho's voice cut through the silence. Now, Deho. Maximum pulse. The Defiant Star's reactor overloaded with such force that it did cause minor explosions throughout the ship. But it also created the largest false sensor reading yet. On Vryn displays, it looked like a fleet of 20 human ships had just appeared. Thex's command ship, already moving too fast to stop, flew directly into the densest part of the asteroid field. And there, hidden among the rocks, were the mining charges that Yuna had been quietly positioning throughout the battle. Detonate, Yuna said simply, pressing the trigger. The asteroid field erupted in fire. The mining charges detonated in sequence, turning the asteroid field into a storm of fire and shrapnel. Thex's command ship flew directly into the blast zone, its shields overloading from multiple impacts. The massive vessel shuddered, stopped, and began to drift, smoke pouring from ruptured hull sections. Direct hit on the Vryn command ship, Yuna reported, her voice filled with disbelief. Their engines are offline. Main weapons are down. They're crippled. Jinho leaned forward in his chair, watching the chaos unfold on his view screen. The Vryn fleet, which had operated with such perfect coordination, was now in complete disarray. Without Thex's commands, the individual ships began moving erratically, unsure of what to do. They had been trained to follow orders, not to think for themselves. All remaining ships, focus fire on the Vryn vessels nearest us, Jinho ordered. Hit them while they're confused. The 3 surviving transport ships, which had been hiding behind asteroids, suddenly emerged and began firing their limited defense weapons. Wujin's drifting fighter somehow managed to launch one last missile before its power died completely. The Defiant Star, barely holding together, poured every remaining weapon into the Vryn formation. The aliens tried to respond, but their reactions were slow, hesitant. They kept waiting for orders from Thex that weren't coming. 2 more Vryn ships took critical damage and began to retreat. Another tried to pursue the transports but flew into debris from Nari's explosion and lost its shields. Captain, the Vryn are breaking off, Hana reported. I'm detecting communications between their ships. They're arguing about what to do. They're panicking, Yuna said, studying her tactical display. Without their war master, they don't know how to fight us. Their perfect system has broken down. Jinho watched as the remaining Vryn ships slowly began to withdraw. They moved cautiously, their weapons still charged, but they weren't attacking anymore. They were retreating from an enemy they had outnumbered and outgunned, retreating from tactics they couldn't understand. Should we pursue? Yuna asked. No, Jinho said quietly. Let them go. We've barely survived as it is. The Vryn fleet disappeared into the darkness of space, leaving behind the wreckage of 5 destroyed ships and Thex's crippled command vessel. The battle was over. Against all odds, against all calculations, humanity had won. Jinho sat back in his chair, suddenly feeling every injury, every bit of exhaustion that adrenaline had been holding back. Around the bridge, his crew was silent, processing what had just happened. Casualty report, Jinho finally said. Hana checked her console, her face somber. 2 fighters lost in the initial attack. 114 civilians from Suji's transport. Nari, total of 121 dead, 121 people. 121 names. 121 families who would receive terrible news. Jinho felt the weight of each loss. Survivors? He asked. 198 from Suji's transport in our cargo bay. 3 more transports intact with their full crews. Wu Jin is alive. Drifting in his fighter. Total of 643 survivors. 643 people alive because they had refused to surrender. Because they had been willing to throw away the rulebook and fight with chaos instead of logic. Daeho, can we recover Woojin? Jinho asked. Already sending a recovery shuttle, the engineer replied. And Captain, you should know that our ship is in really bad shape. We need repairs before we can attempt any long-range travel. Understood. Hana, can you break through the Vryn jamming now? Yes, sir. They stopped jamming when they retreated. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them what happened here. Tell them about the ambush. Tell them about our losses. And tell them that we won. Hana began transmitting. While she worked, Jinho stood up and walked to the viewport. Out there, among the wreckage and debris, floated Suji's destroyed transport. Somewhere in that destruction was Nari's body, along with the civilians they hadn't been able to save in time. Captain, Yuna said softly, coming to stand beside him. You know the fleet is going to study this battle for years. What we did here, it shouldn't have worked. By every tactical calculation, we should be dead. But we're not, Jinho said. Because we're human. Because we don't always do what makes sense. Because when faced with impossible odds, we create impossible solutions. Do you think the Vryn will try again? Yuna asked. Jinho shook his head. Not like this. We showed them that their perfect calculations mean nothing against an opponent who refuses to be predictable. They'll go back and report that humanity is too dangerous to hunt, too chaotic to trap. 3 hours later, the first Earth Command ships arrived. Admiral Hyun himself came aboard the Defiant Star, his face grave as he walked through the damaged corridors. He found Jinho in the cargo bay, helping medical teams care for the survivors. Captain Jinho, Hyun said formally, I need your full report. They went to what was left of the conference room. Jinho explained everything. From the fake distress call to Nari's sacrifice, from Woojin's suicidal charge to the final mining explosive trap. Hyun listened without interrupting, his expression unreadable. When Jinho finished, Hyun was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, You broke every rule in the tactical manual. You deliberately damaged your own ship. You sent a pilot on a suicide mission. You sacrificed a civilian transport as a weapon. Yes, sir, Jinho said, and I'd do it again. Those rules were written for normal battles. This wasn't normal. If I had followed procedure, everyone would be dead right now. Hyun nodded slowly. I know. That's why I'm not court-martialing you. That's why I'm recommending you for the Fleet Star. What you did here, Captain, was insane, but it was also brilliant. He pulled up a datapad. I've been receiving reports from intelligence. The Vryn have sent us a formal communication. They're claiming this battle was a statistical anomaly. They can't explain how their superior force was defeated. Their tactical computers have classified the entire engagement as impossible, as an error in their calculations. Good, Jinho said. Let them think it was an error. Let them be confused. Because the truth is scarier for them than any error could be. And what is the truth? Hyun asked. The truth is that humanity can't be calculated, Jinho replied. We're unpredictable, chaotic, and we make up strategies that shouldn't work but somehow do. The Vryn thought they could trap us like animals because they had studied our textbooks and our training. But they forgot that humans are at their most dangerous when we throw away the textbook and write our own rules. Hyun smiled slightly. You know, this battle is already spreading through the fleet channels. They're calling it the Kepler 7 miracle. Stories are being shared about how a single patrol vessel defeated a Vryn hunter fleet through sheer human stubbornness. It wasn't just me, Jinho said firmly. It was every person on this ship. Every pilot who flew into impossible fire. Every engineer who pushed systems past their limits. Every civilian who stayed calm during the chaos. And especially Nari, who gave her life so others could live. I know, Hyun said. All of them will be honored. But Captain, you need to understand something. This battle has changed how the entire galaxy sees humanity. The Vryn have been spreading through space for centuries, conquering species after species with their perfect tactics. You showed them that perfection has a weakness. You showed them that sometimes chaos beats calculation. Over the next few days, as repair crews worked on the Defiant Star, Jinho walked among his crew and the survivors. He learned their names, their stories, their losses. He met Suji, who had indeed made it into one of the rescue pods. She hugged him tightly and cried for her lost crew. He met the families of the pilots who had died, looking into their eyes and telling them honestly how their loved ones had fought. He helped organize a memorial service for all the dead, especially Nari, whose sacrifice had turned the tide of battle. Woojin recovered quickly, already joking about his crazy attack run. Next time anyone says something is impossible, he told Jinho, I'm going to remind them that I charged a Vrin command ship in a damaged fighter and survived. 2 weeks later, the Defiant Star limped back to Earth, escorted by a full battle group. When they arrived at the orbital station, they found crowds watching on view screens, news services broadcasting their arrival, and fleet personnel lining up to see the ship that had won an impossible battle. At the ceremony where Admiral Hyun presented medals to the crew, he spoke to the assembled fleet officers. What happened at Kepler-7 should not have been possible. The Vrin had superior numbers, superior weapons, and superior tactics. They had studied us, predicted us, and trapped us perfectly. He paused, looking at Jinho and his crew. But they made one fatal mistake. They forgot that humans don't always do what makes sense. They forgot that we're at our best when the odds are worst. They forgot that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology or our training. It's our refusal to give up, even when mathematics says we should. The crowd erupted in applause. But Jinho just stood there, thinking about the 121 people who hadn't come home. They were the real heroes. They had paid the ultimate price so that others could live. That night, Jinho received a classified briefing. The Vreen Empire had sent another communication to Earth. It was short and formal. The engagement at Kepler-7 has been reviewed. Human forces are hereby classified as unpredictable hostile entities. Future encounters will avoid direct confrontation until new tactical protocols can be developed. The War Master Thex has been removed from command for failure to adapt to chaotic combat scenarios. Jinho smiled grimly. The Vrin had learned their lesson. Humanity couldn't be trapped, couldn't be predicted, and couldn't be beaten by perfect calculations alone. Because sometimes, the best plan was to have no plan at all. Sometimes, the best tactic was to be completely, dangerously, beautifully human.